Good morning, everybody. January 9th. Let's get to it. Ton to go over today. And, let's start with let's start here. So what's going on, Linus? So let's go through a couple things. Let me drop this link in while I'm setting up, and then we'll go from there. You should be able to hear me pretty clearly. If you have any issues, just let me know. I'm trying to new mic on this one system. I'm going to just make sure it's working. Yeah, they have me on the default system. This mic should be a little, you should be able to hear me a little clearer now on this system. So let's see how that goes. But let me just drop this link in a couple spots, and then we'll be able to go from there. But the bidding up is interesting. I think you need to focus still on the industrials and things like that. Make sure you smash the like button on this. It helps me greatly with the algorithm, I found out. But we're going into a system where you have Powell speaking tomorrow, right? And then you have CPI. And I know people are all excited and giddy about wanting to be in some of these other names, but I would strongly suggest, I'm going to put this watermark. I would strongly suggest you consider the idea of just staying with, what the leaders are. Now, if we look at the index in and of itself, and I really want to get into the index, so just so we can focus on that, because I think it's really pertinent. So if we're going to focus on the index and what's going on, well, and these are all my levels that I have here for those that are trading the futures market. You can just kind of look at where I think what's going on here and what we're setting up for. I'm not really sure why you're giving me a hard time here, but you are. Come on. Okay. Can you do that? Great. Can you come a little higher now? Perfect. So what we're seeing, right, and we're seeing in these levels really clearly, in my opinion, is you have this base. And now this base is running a little bit, right? So you're setting up to break out of that base already this morning. I don't see anything till you get to this 39.50. I mean, I really don't see anything really 39.57. You get through that, you're going back to 4,000. This could absolutely, you could absolutely rip here. And I'm not sure that you're not going to. It really depends on what he says tomorrow. We were at a huge inflection point. I'm just going to point this out and clean all this off. We were at a huge inflection point the other day, and now we're actually we're bouncing pretty nicely and pretty hefty on that one spot. So I'm going to just drill into the spot so everybody can see it, and so that you get this as well. But if you go out here, and let's just put these in for a moment, right? So people kind of get this. So we're going to go out there on these inputs. And is that the one I want? That's not it. Hold on. Bear with me. This is the one I want. All right. So what we're going to do here is just kind of overlay all this so you can see it. And get rid of the 200. Well, let's leave the 200 in there because that actually is fascinating to where we stopped, right? So I have all these moving averages right in here. 20, right? 50, 100, I'm flipping all of them. Now, if that lasts, the market's going to rip because you're going to have people that are going to think they're under the gun. They're already going to be underperforming this year. They're going to get involved. And I don't see anything really here stopping you for the next, till 4,000. So do with that what you will. That's really how I view it. But I don't see anything there that's telling me that I need to do anything differently, right? So I don't say it. So keep that in mind. But if we just take a look at that, I just don't see any reason to think that that's going to pull back. Now, if we look at this from a standpoint of, let's just take a look at NQ so you can see the difference. I really wish they would just stop with their nonsense. But if you look at NQ and you look at those moving averages, right? And they're not always the moving averages that I use, but I'm just using them as a guide. You can see the difference in the NASDAQ. I mean, it's night and day. And I think that this persists. Now, if you click off the moving averages and you drill into the hourly, right? Then, you're starting to see some pretty clear things here, right? So let's go through what do I mean? What are we starting to see? Well, you have resistance and you're not getting through it, right? You're trying to get through it, but you're not really getting through that. So I'd watch this level extremely carefully and make sure that you actually do push through that level. I'm just not so sure that, you're going to. So to me, the S&P looks way better than the NASDAQ. And that's where my focal point would be. Let's get through some of this. Let's get through some of your questions. Futures are up a little choppy. Well, you have to deal with what's going on, right? Like tomorrow you have Powell speaking. And I don't think that anybody really knows what Powell's going to say, right? We all have an opinion on it. Maybe he's going to follow suit. Maybe he's going to follow exactly what was said by Bostic on Friday and fall in line with what we're seeing out there, which is this shift. And no matter how you want to say it, there is something to Bostic's statement. There is something to what Goldman said. There is something to what JP Morgan said. I cover it in that top 10 video that you guys may have watched or may not have watched. But the point that I'm getting at with it is I don't see how some of these names are not just going to just push if we're out of position. Something like this LAB, it's not really my kind of trade, John. LYB. I don't know why I got that wrong. Oh, so you're looking at Lyndell. You're looking at the chemical companies. Yeah, I mean, they're actually going to move like basic material companies. They're actually viewed as a basic material basically at this point. These kinds of names, when you're breaking out of here, yeah, I mean, I can get looking at that. That makes sense to me. I would look at those kinds of names. I mean, look at what copper's doing. Look at these copper names. I mean, they're just on fire, right? And I think that's something you really have to just kind of pay attention to. So I even was looking at this the other day, and let me pull it up real quick and see if we can find it. I'll just do it this way. Probably be easier and quicker. But you have copper futures, right? So we'll click on those. Let's load those in. And now we're going to go here. Now look at the SPY. Right? So what you're starting to see a little bit here, right, is how they follow, right? And I think that's really kind of pivotal. So I would keep my eye on this. I would really keep my eye on this because to me, it seems like if you're following the pattern, that we froze. Okay, there we are. So if we look at the pattern and we see how that we're setting up here, how we're holding, well, that's all we need to really look at. That's really what we're trying to focus on, right? So I kind of like it. I kind of like copper, and I kind of like the other names as well. So we'll just keep focusing on those. Now, I'm not really sure why this thing's running so slow. Let's see if I can find out why this computer is so slow right now. Give me 1 second. Maybe I got too many things open. Let's get rid of this. And we'll get rid of notes. Maybe that'll make life a little better. Seems a little baffled right now. So keep that in mind. But I do think there's something to that. Now, MT, UA. UA I want to look at. UA is interesting. So, yeah. So I like the UA trade. Let's click off of this, but you can see how it's running completely parallel to it. It's kind of funny. So right, it's got nothing to do with it. But these kinds of names, they actually outperform in this kind of environment. So I'm not crazy about these lower price names, but this could work. You could actually break out here. I'm going to start flipping to this other system where I have a lot of the presets set. Just flip to this particular one so that we can kind of get through all this. Then we can see what's over here on the reviewed as well. So bear with me 1 second. Perfect. So, and then we can just kind of see everything. Now, in regards to names like, Apple, just watch how they respond to these key levels. I know everyone's getting a little excited here. I'm not so sure that we should be getting overly excited just yet on some of these names, but we're just going to really want to watch and see how they act and kind of go from there. So let's just keep going here. What do we have? OMXS30. Yeah, if I have time, I can go back and do that. Let me just see here. OMXS30. Let me see if I can pull it up this way. S30. The Stockholm 30 index. Let's do it right now. We'll just flip to it. So, I mean, you can see where you're at, right? You can see how you're sitting right in there. I mean, this is really what you want to say if you're looking at that, if those names. I mean, you're flipping, you're breaking out, right? You have your retest, you pulled back, and let's just put those. We'll just put those really quick lines in just to give us an understanding of what's going on. I mean, it doesn't get any clearer than that, right? So you're obviously setting up here. I mean, every single one of those moving averages from the 20 down to the 200 is pointing up, and you're above it, and that you're flipping. So, the question is, where do you go? Well, this is pretty glaring, right? That 2192 is obviously an issue. If we click off of these now, just so we can just get into this a little cleaner, you have nothing really in here until you get to this level, right? So 22, you got some work to do in here, but not a lot. I mean, there's not really a lot of work, right? You kind of hung out at this level. Resistance becomes support, right? Becomes resistance, becomes support, support becomes resistance, right? So once you get into this, I think that you're fine. I think you have some real upside there. And I think you have the momentum behind you too, quite frankly, with that, Linus. I think that looks fairly decent. What's going on, John? We're trying to... I'm not really sure, John. I'm really not. We keep going back and forth with oil and crude, and at least I do. I'm not really sure how this whole thing plays out. It's definitely something that I'm watching, and I don't know that we're getting back over 80. Let me clean that off. But I mean, there's nothing redeeming about that, and yet these oil stocks keep pushing higher. And to me, it looks like we held, right? I don't know how else you would view that, but that looks like a hold to me, right? You tried to get through this level, that 81.34, and you were just completely rejected right here, right? Tries to get through, bonk, support becomes what? Resistance. I don't know how anyone's looking at crude and saying it's going higher. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm right. And since you had China open, it kind of stopped going down, right? So you're starting to get that little term right here where you have that lower low, and then it flips, right? Now you're getting this. Now, I don't know how sustainable that is, but that's your first start, right? And then the other thing is, if you kind of take a look at this, you can see the trajectory and how this trajectory was steeper and how this is less angled. So that really does make a big difference here. So definitely something to think about. Now, just go back and take a look at something here and switch back to this tab and see. I went to see something. So just got a report that there was a big order on this, but I don't see it at all. All right. So I don't really drill into that later. I'm not really sure why they said that there was a huge order there. Okay. Nonetheless, let's keep going. So I do think that I'm not sure, but maybe we're going to bottom. I get through 81.34. What's going on, Russell? Mag, if you can. Sure, Fatty. Yeah, I mean, these kinds of names, they all look great, don't they? Let's get rid of a couple of these, right? Let's get rid of the 10, and we're going to leave the 22 and the 55 in there. Get a little bit longer term view. Yeah, I mean, anything that's doing this, everyone's going to get sick of hearing this year. Anytime you see these golden crosses, you want to pay attention. Okay, they're the ones that you're really going to want to pay attention to, and I just can't stress that enough. So, keep that in mind. Now, whether or not this works or I don't have the volume to push, I'm not really sure yet. I mean, I really don't know if I have the volume or not there. Doesn't really look like I do, right? But I am getting that turn, right? And it's been a while since we had that turn. Last time was back here. So, and you can see how it's done ever since. Keep that in mind. To me, I think that's a really good sign. And it's definitely something where you could lift. I guess is just the easiest way to say it. You could absolutely lift there. So do with that what you will. What's going on, Ant? So let's take a look at Tesla. Go from there. Now, something like a Tesla, look at the volume that's coming in, right? Look at how you're rallying. And then look at how you've come all the way back down and you reverse. That's pretty impressive, right? And you look at the angle of the movement here. Is this some kind of capitulation? I don't know. I mean, I don't see it that way. You're gapping up over a key level this morning, but I wouldn't get too giddy about it. I mean, maybe there's a trade there, maybe. That's pretty clear level with using pre and post as well, isn't it? You can even see it right here. So I'd make sure you hold that. If you broke that, I'd probably short it. I don't hold a lot of faith in tech here at all, just being honest. Like, could it rally? Sure, we could absolutely squeeze tech. That could absolutely happen. But, I think it's going to be far and few between. And your first sign of how this is going to go is going to be Taiwan Semi. So we're just going to have to see how that goes. Oh, something's going on here. Just hit one of my scans. Let me see something. No volume, though. It's interesting. Just had a huge move. Okay. Thanks, Sonny. Good to know. Yeah, I want to make money every single day. I agree. China stocks going to benefit either way unless the U.S. market rockets faster. U.S. market's not going to rocket faster. It's all about GDP growth. And that's going to be, I did a whole piece on this. You can find it in the videos. I'll repost that particular piece of it. But just to get it, like, that's not going to happen. We're not going to grow at 5%. China is, right? So no matter how you look at this, China's going to outperform this year. I just don't see how it doesn't. They have the GDP growth. They're going to have the earnings growth. You're going to have a weaker dollar, right? So there's a lot of people that are going to take that weaker dollar and put it into China because you can see the dollar is getting weaker. You're going to see a lot of stuff like that. I have a hard time investing in China because of how quickly they'll just change the rules. But when I see stuff like this, and you're looking at these names and you're seeing what they're doing with Baba and you're seeing what they're doing with, Pfizer and getting a generic COVID vaccine so that everybody is, vaccinated. Look, they're open. They're open for business. It's a good thing for the U.S. because it's going to put supply chain pressure. It's going to weaken supply chain pressure here. But overall, I think it's something that we really have to think about, right? Like, how is the U.S. going to outperform? I just don't say it this year at all. But I could be wrong. Hey, Damien, Happy New Year, buddy. What's up, Michael? Any love for Futu? Not really, no. Not at all. I'd like it to rally up and then roll again. I had a short on, and then I got stopped out of the short. I was up in it for a day pretty nicely, and then it just went against me. You're forming a flag. I mean, maybe it pops up, but look, here's the problem with this. When you start getting into all this nonsense, when regulators start getting involved, you have such news risk with these names, and you don't know what's going to happen. In other words, I have no idea if they're going to have another statement when it's closed overnight, right? I just don't know. So when I see things like that, I have to pay attention to it, right? I have to pay attention to that. And that's not something I'm willing to play with. So we'll see how that goes as well. So, you're welcome, John. You're welcome, Linus. UROY, please. Thanks. Yep. So yeah, I know a lot of people are getting excited about uranium. There was a Macro Voices podcast. I didn't listen to it. I probably should listen to it when I have some time. They actually do a fairly good job on the macro side. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty clear where your levels are, right? Like you can probably see this yourself. You're right in there, right? You can actually move that up just a hair to here. You can see how it tested in here and resistance, support, right? So you can see your level. I don't know, maybe if you closed over 263, maybe. But there's, and you really want to be in this for some reason. That's not really my kind of trade. I don't know really where you're going. You're not breaking out. You're not really doing much here whatsoever. So, that's definitely not, it's just not on my radar. Could work. I'm not saying that it can't work. It absolutely can. So you have KBH this week. Just FYI, I'm not sure that this nail's ready for prime time just yet, but it's definitely setting up. And you can see how we held support, flipping. If we put in some indicators, you can see really clearly that we're finally getting above that 200-day. We have the 50 that's starting to curl up. Eventually, we're going to get a golden cross on this. Could be a couple months, but I think it's coming. I do. I think that's coming. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, I mean, there are decisions you have to make. What do I think about levels? Yep, I can go through that and take a look at them. For me, looking at it, just get rid of the indicators, right? I need to hold that 114.82. Like if I break that, I'm going to get out of the way. Now, if I drill into this more and just say I go out on hourly, right? I mean, there's very little here that is like anything to get excited about to me. I mean, you're basically looking right in here and you can see how this was an issue before, right at that same level, that 119.51. So, you have three hourly bars pre-market that had a problem there before it pushed. And then that was the push that ended it, right? You could never, even whoever was here couldn't get through. And then it flips. So I would watch this level pretty closely, this 119.51. And, I mean, if I was long, I'd be selling into any kind of spike that got me out of the long. It's very difficult to look at this chart and go, oh, I'm in great shape. I don't have a care in the world. So are you oversold? Can you bounce? Sure. You can bounce to the oversold, works itself out. Then what are you going to do? Right? I mean, then you have an issue. So, that's kind of how I'm looking at it. What are some of the levels where you think you will look at? Do you offer a course or something? I need you to teach me everything. It's funny. I don't offer a course. I think courses and people that sell courses, I think it's ridiculous, to be completely blunt. I do plan on putting out free courses that are like I've one I'm working on for day trading. It's going to be like a 10 or 12 part series, and I'm just going to put it out for free. But I'd be very apprehensive on paying for a course. I've watched people spend thousands of dollars paying for, a course, and it's just ridiculous. I actually got into an argument about a really large trading community on what they were charging people for something that was just absolutely ridiculous. That's a pretty prominent name in the industry too. What do I offer? So we have the Alpha Chasers community. It's on waitlist, and you can see that link in description. I do private coaching, but it's pretty much waitlisted at this point as well. But there's a link for it if you're interested. That's what you need to do. You need to immerse yourself in this, Bill. Like, this is a really good question, actually. You need to immerse yourself in this, man. Like, it's not, you don't take a course. Like, you don't take a course to be a surgeon. You don't take a course to be a lawyer. Like, you go to school for years, right? And you immerse yourself in it. And that's how they become that level of expertise. It's no different. You have to immerse yourself in this. So, and you just put in the time that you have. If you don't have the time, you don't have the time. INMD, and then you just build a system around the time that you can allot to it, right? So, like, if you have a full-time job and you have all these full-time responsibilities, probably scalping and day trading during the day is not the best thing, unless you're on the West Coast and you're going to do it for the first couple hours before work starts, which, I have a lot of friends that do that. So, and they're done, they're done by the morning. By 12, 9:30, 10 o'clock, they're ready to either go to work or they're done for the day. So, yep. I mean, I'd watch that, see if we can flip these levels. Again, you really just want to see where you are in the pecking order. Everything that interests me has got to be above that 200-day right now. If you're not above that, just get out of the way and go from there. So, I don't know. I wouldn't go crazy there, but it is setting up, ASML. Yeah, I actually was talking about that in the private video this morning. Look, there's something going on there, and I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know if these numbers out of Taiwan Semi leaked, but all morning I'm just watching my screen. Like, so here's ASML. I've got a golden cross on this, for God's sake. Like, I don't know. I'd have to go through all of them, right? But I don't think there's that many that have a golden cross right now. Lamb Research is sitting there. I think Clack had one. Yeah, Clack has one right here, and we'll go from there. And I really like that. I mean, that's a really interesting one, right? The way you're holding that, getting ready to break out. So you really want to watch these. I don't know if they know something or they don't know something, but we're definitely seeing this continue to push. So just, watching the video, watch all these names. I'm not really sure how they're going to play out, but I would have them on my radar right now. I mean, to me, they look completely broken, but maybe we're in the cycle part. We could be in the cycle where you start seeing not the NVIDIAs move, but maybe it's time for the the tools and the equipment manufacturers to move, right? Maybe that's what we're seeing here. So, I like ASML. I mean, it doesn't exist. Nothing exists without ASML, right? Just remember that. So keep that in mind. Now, all right. So I get it. I mean, look at the socks, man. Like, here, let's get into this. So look at the socks. So, like, look at the volume. Look at the close. We haven't been here in a month. I don't know if that's going to last or not. I really don't. All I can tell you from my perspective and looking at that is that, yeah, you could trade your way all the way up to this 380. And I don't know what Taiwan Semi is going to do. They come out at 6 o'clock on 6 a.m. on, what is that? 6 o'clock on Thursday morning. That's it. Gonna need a little more coffee. Oh, good. Hi, Sonny. So Netflix going to break the level. Yep. So I think Netflix is going to break the 320 level this time. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you definitely saw your buying coming in there, right? And I would definitely be watching that, seeing how the buying goes. But just keep your eye on that and watch these levels really, really closely, and and we'll go from there. But I really think that you have to look at the 281.37, 288.19. You really need to start looking at these levels and going, okay, well, do I really want to be that person that's jumping in there? I'm not so sure. We've watched these rallies come and fade so many times in the name. I am really surprised that here, let's clean all this off for a moment, Sonny. But I am absolutely surprised that we have not rallied through this and pushed. Like, that's really kind of shocking to me that hasn't happened. So, that we haven't gap filled. We just haven't really, we kind of did right here, right? But never got to the previous day's close. It's kind of interesting to me. You can see how this is shaping up, right? Here's your golden cross. You can see that eventually, if we just even stay here, the 200-day will start pointing up, which is exactly what you want. And they really took that NVAX to the woodshed, didn't they? So $11 from 400. Wow. That's just crazy. So let's see what else we have here. Hi, Laura. URA. It's not something I would go near. You're right against that, that 200. I wouldn't go near that. I don't really like that, Laura. What's going on, Jesse? What's your process for determining which way the market is likely to go before they open? I don't have a process for that. I have no idea how the market's going to go when it opens. Right. I don't guess. I just let the market do what it's going to do, and then I try to profit from it. I'd rather analyze what's happening than predict. Right. No one has any idea how we're going to open and what we're really going to do. You'd have to look at the, you really almost have to be a specialist to do that accurately, because you need to see what the size of the book is and everything. So I would just look at my key levels and then watch how I respond to my key levels and then make decisions from there, Jess. I think that's an easier way, Jesse. I don't know. I don't know if this is going to continue to drop. There's a lot going on with that ad revenue. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. All right, everybody. I got to hop in the room. Everybody have a great day today.